Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new, welcome to my channel. My name is Jackie, and let's get started. Let's start by making some embellishments. I'm going to take a paper envelope just to keep my table tidy, and I'm going to take some painter's tape and place it on this paper with the sticky side up, and I'll do 4 rows of this tape like this. I'm going to take some half wood beads, and I got these from Amazon. They're the small ones, and I'm just going to place them on these tape pieces. Now I'm going to go in with these 4 colors, this red, this green, this blue, and this yellow. Paint them up like this. Now I'm going to go ahead and remove the tape from the paper, and I'm going to go ahead and remove all these pieces. And these will be my faux candy for some of my projects today in this video. Next, I'm going to take this super sweet silicone mold that my sweet friend Toni from creativedecor gave me. And I'm also going to take some of this resin that I like to use. I've used for many projects, and it works great. But first I'm going to put some gloves on. And here's my mixing bowl that I use to mix up some red and a craft stick. The actual epoxy is part A, and then the hardener is part B. And you just add equal amounts, and then you're good to go. Next, I'm going to add a little bit of paint because I want to make these little bows red. So I'm just going to take some apple barrel paint in the color red and add a good little squeeze. And now here is one of the important parts, and you have to just mix for a good while, say a couple minutes or so. I just sped it up for video purposes, but follow the directions and mix it up well. Now just take my time and pour all the resin inside of these little wells until I get all done. And that turns out I made way too much of the resin mix, so I'm going to have to make some other things. Okay, that's okay. Might as well. So I had these other little bow silicone molds. So I'm going to fill those up as well. They're just different shapes, like a little bit larger and flatter as opposed to the ones that my sweet friend Toni gave me. So I'm just going to fill these up. And then I still had some resin left. So I went looking at my stash to see what else I could make. I definitely didn't want to waste any resin. So I found this silicone mold in my stash, and it's got different spirals and some dots and some wiggly lines and just a variety of shapes. So I went ahead and filled this up. And then that used up the rest of the resin that I had in my bowl. Now here they are, nice and set. I'm going to go ahead and unmold them. And these little red bows turned out so adorable. Just so cute. They look like candy, like gummies. And then these larger ones that are flatter, adorable too. They came out so cute. Now I'll go ahead and remove the rest of these, unmold them. And then my longer pieces, they came out great as well. They look like Twizzlers or licorice. We'll be definitely using this stuff eventually. Maybe not this video, but eventually we'll be using this stuff. I just didn't want to waste it. So here's the rest. Here's the last one. And now I can use these for my projects. For DIY number 1, I'm going to take this jewelry box I purchased from Family Dollar. Family Dollar is a Dollar Tree sister company, and it was $5. And it's super cute. It's all wood, and it's got a little drawer. Thought it was adorable. So now I'm going to take my apple barrel paint in the color Nutmeg Brown, give it a full coat, paint it inside, outside, everywhere, and I actually did a double coat. Now I'm going to take some puffy paint by Tulip, and I'm going to create a waffle cone pattern on the very top, like this. And I'm just going to go along. Here I already had one little break. Sometimes you get air bubbles when you make things with puffy paint, but that's okay. I mean, when you do icing on real gingerbread, mine's never perfect anyway. That's for sure. So this is pretty genuine to what my real gingerbread would look like. So here I'm just going to make little lines like this. Go on the other side. And go through. Like that. Now in the front, I'm just going to do some scallops. And I'm going to start over here where I can see what I'm doing because I'm left-handed. I'm just going to make some scallops. And now I'm going to go on this side. And here I have an air bubble here. You're going to see where it kind of splatters. Oh, that's okay. We'll put an embellishment there later on. Now I'll just continue my little scallops, trying to be more careful. And go to the front like this. Now we're going to go to the side and follow the same line. Kind of visualize it like this. Another one at the bottom. Make it cohesive. We're doing good so far. And over here on this side as well. And then on the back, of course, gotta make it a full look. More scallops. And one more row. And that is it. And that will allow this to dry. And we'll come back to it. Now here it is, nice and dry and looking good. Now we're going to mix up some faux frosting. And I'm just going to use one of these piping bags from the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to use my little metal piping tip that I purchased from Amazon. This little metal tip. I'm going to snip off the tip of the piping bag. That way the metal tip can fit inside. And I'll just drop it in there and bring it all the way down. Get it ready, get it in position. Place the piping bag into the cup. This is just a repurposed frosting cup. And now I'm going to mix up my spackle. I'm going to take this cup. And then here's my spackle. It's called DAP Fast and Final. And it is fast. It dries fast. Now the inside's very fluffy. Looks like marshmallow fluff almost. It's very, very fluffy. And I'm just going to take as much as I think I'm going to use for this video. I'll be using some of this in quite a few projects. Maybe not all. No, I do. I think I use them. I think I do use some on all of them. All the projects at some point. And now I'm going to add some white paint. This is just the acrylic paint from Apple Barrel. I'm going to just squeeze some in there. Just that way it'll dry bright and white. And it won't turn gray on me. I'm just going to mix it up real quick like this. Now I'm going to place everything into my piping bag. Get it all in there like this. And now I'm going to bring up the bag, the piping bag, and pull all the contents down into the tip and twist the top and get it in position to start piping. Do a nice little twist. And now we can start piping, and we're just going to go around the edge of the top. Nice thick line. And then turn it around. Nice thick line as well. And one more. And if you happen to hear some snoring, my little Pomeranian Honey Girl is next to me and she's just snoring away. Oh, my life. Okay, so I'm just going to add a little bit more to this front part. I feel like I needed a little bit more. And a little bit more to the side as well. Right here. Now here I'm trying to decide where I want to add some more of this faux frosting. But first I'm going to take some embellishments and place some of these plastic peppermints in place while the spackle is still moist and hasn't set. So I'm just going to place a couple of the peppermints on the top right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a nice big dollop of my faux frosting and add a larger peppermint in the center. And I think that would be a cute look. So now here I decided to take some of these little gingerbread men that I had from last year that I had painted up. And I'm going to place them here in the front. One of them is going to hide the air bubble that I got earlier with my puffy paint. And as I'm placing this, I'm realizing, wait a minute, now I can't open the little drawer. But oh well, it'll be what it'll be. It looks cute, so we'll just leave it like that. The top will open. Okay, so here I'm going to add some more of this spackle faux frosting to the bottom. And since I've already locked up the drawer, I figured I'll add some to the base of the drawer right here. So I'm just going to pipe some on the front, going all the way across. And it's got a little ledge on the sides as well. So I'll get the sides in a second. And now I'm just going to go ahead and add some more of this spackling to the very base of the jewelry box. Now I'm going to turn it around. And here I kind of go out of frame a little bit, so I apologize. But I'm just adding the spackle to the line where the drawer was, and then the very base, like that. I'll turn it around some more. Here you can see better. This one just has on the base. It doesn't have a line for the drawer because the drawer doesn't exist on the back. And then two more little lines. One here at the base. And then one more at where the drawer would be right here. So it'll have a double look on the sides and the front. Like this. Now here it is, nice and dry. And we'll just pull off this parchment paper. And it looks so cute. Now the drawer doesn't open, of course, but the top does. That's good enough for me. That's good enough for me because I love the way it's embellished. Now I'm just going to add a couple little these resin bows that I made earlier, just on the little handles. I'm just going to add a little bit of hot glue and place one here on the bottom little pull, and then one more on the one above, and then we'll call this a day and be done. This DIY is now complete. Look how adorable. I love it. And here's how it looks, and a closer look at the final reveal. For DIY number 2, I'm going to take these little pots, these little clay pots from the Dollar Tree. These are the smaller ones, and I'm going to go ahead and take them out of their packaging, and I'm going to paint them with the nutmeg brown paint by Apple Barrel. Give them a full coat like this. Now here I took some poster board pieces, cut out some rounds and some of these little triangle looking pieces because I ran out of styrofoam balls. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill these in with these pieces, and this works well. Kind of holds it up, nice structure. Using some hot glue, placing it inside to adhere it, and then the little rounds, just add some hot glue to the bottom pieces of the poster board and then placing the rounds on top. And this will help me not to use as much of the spackling as I would if it was empty. So this takes the place of any styrofoam balls for now. So here I'm just placing this last piece. Now I'm going to take this piece of foam. It came from a package that I received in the mail, nice and thick, so I thought, oh, I'm going to use it. I'm just going to take my scissors and roughly cut out a circle, kind of see if it's close. It is. I'm just going to do some trimming like this. It don't have to be perfect because I'm going to actually squeeze it in there. This is going to be the cake part of my cupcake. These are going to be cupcakes. So here I'm just trimming the bottom part so it can squeeze in there better. And this stuff is actually the same stuff as the pool noodle. You can always use a pool noodle, just cut it down. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut out 2 more pieces. So I have one for each of my little clay pots. Now I'm going to take this Apple Barrel paint in the color Territorial Beige, give them a coat, and allow them to dry completely. I'll set them aside. Now here are my little pots. Now I'm going to take some puffy paint, and I'm going to create a waffle cone kind of design pattern. I'm just going to take my time to do this part. It won't be perfect. My waffle cone designs never are, but after I do some embellishing, it'll look great. So here I'm just going to continue to make my little lines. I'll do one more on this side, and then I'll start doing the opposite side, the other direction, and I'll just keep doing this till I get them all done. Now here they are all done, and I also went ahead and did a little bit of drips on the edges, top edges, and here's a better picture. You can see how they're looking. Now here they are, nice and dry. Just going to remove these pieces of parchment paper that was put on there to protect my table. And I'm going to take the little foam pieces. I'm just going to add some hot glue and place them inside of these pots. Now this one I cut a little bit too short. And then this one I cut a little bit too large. Oh, it's very accurate to my baking skills, I think. And this one here I think was just right. Almost like a Goldilocks story. This one fit pretty perfectly. But the other two, well, it'll be what it'll be. Okay, so now I'm taking these styrofoam balls. I got them from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to use some hot glue to place them on top. These will act as a filler. That way when I add my spackle, I won't be using too much of it. I'll just be using enough to cover this styrofoam ball. Here's my last one. A little bit of hot glue will do. Ooh, that rhymes. Like this. Now here's my spackle. I'm starting to run low, but we'll get it done. So here I'm just going to start piping. I'll do one because it took me a little while. So I'm just going to go around like this and take my time, get a nice good coverage, and then the rest of the areas I'm just going to kind of let's just make little peaks. Yeah, like that. And I just do this till I get all the way around. It took me a little while, but I did speed up this part of the video so you can see the whole process, but yet not take too much time. So finally get to the top, and that's it. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm going to now take some of my embellishments. I'm going to take one of these candy canes and I'm going to poke it through the styrofoam ball. So I'm just going to press it down and put some pressure, and then all of a sudden it just goes right in, no problem, right here. And then I add a larger peppermint. I do add a little bit more of the spackling, just a nice glob. That way it has a nice base to sit on. Looking super cute. And then I'm going to take one of these little wooden gingerbread men and add some spackle to the back and place that on the side. And then off camera, I did a little bit more embellishing, but for now, you'll see this. Now I'm just going to take some of my fine sugar glitter and I'm just going to give that a nice bit all the way around just to make it look cute. And of course, I have to add some little faux sprinkles. These I got off of Amazon and I used them for quite a few projects already. And I haven't even made a dent. Not even a dent in this thing. So I'm just going to add these little sprinkles, and my spackle is already trying to dry on me. This stuff does dry fast. It really does. So I'm taking my little tweezers and kind of like poking them in, and that works pretty well. So I get to this point, looking cute. So now I just have to allow this to set completely. There's one, here's all three. I did add a second of the candy canes. Here it is nice and dry. They're all nice and dry. Now I'm just going to add some little bows on the pots for extra embellishment. And I'm just going to add it with some hot glue. Press it on. And do this to all three. I just love this color combination. The red, the white, the brown, and then a little touch of green. Super cute. And then that is it for this one. And here's how they look, and a closer look at the final reveal. For DIY number 3, I found these adorable wood houses at Dollar General for $3 each. And I found 4 different designs. Now I found these after Christmas, and 2 of them were on clearance pretty inexpensively, and I know now why, because I looked underneath and there's no light. So 2 don't have any lights, but that's okay. They're still a great deal. They are very detailed and super adorable. But they're all different, so I was happy about that. So now I'm going to take my spray paint. This one is from Amazon, and it's just a brown, and I also use the Rust-Oleum Espresso as well. Give them all a full paint like this with the 2 different colors just to make it a little bit more interesting. And these are the little pieces that I removed. We might use them, we might not, I don't know. And now I'm going to take my puffy paint, and using this puffy paint by Tulip, I'm just going to take my time and give all these houses a little bit of detail. And for this part of the video, I did speed it up quite a bit just so that you can see how I did one house. And I even did some scallops on the roof. And then I did the same thing to the rest of the houses. So here's how they're looking. They're all nice and dry. I was pretty happy how they look. So now I'm going to take some of this Mod Podge in the extreme glitter. And I'm going to take my little brush that I got from Amazon. And I'm just going to paint this Mod Podge on. And it'll give it a nice glistening look without the mess of the glitter. This is a great product. And then I do the same thing to all the houses for all their roof lines. And then I'll just set them aside, allow them to all dry completely. Now here they are, nice and dry, and look at that sparkle. Look at that shine. It's pretty, but not too overdone either. So now I have to do something with these other areas that I didn't add any white paint, and I'm just going to do a little dry brushing with some of the Waverly chalk paint in the color Snow White, and my chunky chippy brush from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to add some paint onto this paper towel and just kind of blot it, and then just gently dry brush, because some of these areas are hard to get to, and I didn't want to take apart the little fencing area. I didn't want to take things apart, so I'm just going to do some dry brushing. So yeah, this DIY here will have a combination of puffy paint, acrylic paint, and then in a minute you'll see some more of the spackling. So here I'm just going to dry brush some more of these little areas, these little features, this little banister up top, and this little window. So it's just too hard to get to with the puffy paint. And then the little fence, and the little windows, and the door, all of it, all the areas that I couldn't get with the puffy paint. I went ahead and just dry brushed it. And I think it just gives it a different texture, kind of different little bit of interest, like this. And then one more. And then I'm going to do something different with that little star that's above this one here. There's like a little star there. So now I'm done with this dry brushing. Now here is my spackle again. I'm going to take what's left. It's not much left, but I have to use it up. So we'll just add some. I'm going to start with taking some hot glue and some of these smaller peppermints and kind of balancing them on top. I could have done a nice row of the spackle, but I didn't have enough and I didn't feel like mixing up anymore just for this little piece. So I'm just going to try this instead, and I'm going to place them up top. And I used hot glue because I needed the immediate hold. So I'm just going to place enough of these peppermints on the tops of these houses, and then taking what's left of the spackle, I'm going to just run a line on the front and the back of where the peppermints are. So right here you'll see, hold it real tight because I'm just running out. And I'm just going to do a nice little line right here, get a nice thick frosting, and on the back side. And then I'll adjust the peppermints accordingly. Some of them are pretty crooked, but I'll adjust them in a minute. And then right here, some more. Gotta push this down. I was literally like on the end of this. But I did have enough. I did have enough to complete all 4 of the houses. And I still had just a little bit to place on the fronts of the 2 A-line houses. These 2 here on the left, I was able to have just enough on the 2 fronts. But here's how they're looking. Everything's nice and dry. Here they are. So now we're just going to finish up with a few more little embellishments. I'm going to take some more of these resin bows. Now these 2 here that have the little fences, I'm going to take the little like flatter bows that I made with resin, and I'm just going to take some hot glue, and I'm going to press them on the fronts right here. Kind of press it in, and then I'll take another one of the same type and put it on this one, a little bit of dab of glue, and press it on the front right here. Now these 2 houses are complete. I won't be doing any more embellishing, but I think they look adorable. Now for the other 2, place those in the center, and I'm going to take some of the other little bows that I made with the resin, and I'll add these onto the fronts as well. Add a little bit of glue and press it into this one here. Press it on, and then one more little piece, this one here, and this one I'll just put it in the very front on the very top, right here in the center. And I think that's cute. Now on these 2 houses, they had some embellishments in the front that I removed at the beginning of the video, but I decided not to reuse them. So instead, I'm going to use these plastic candy canes, and I'm just going to take some hot glue and place a nice generous amount on the bottom and put it down where the little slit is where the other embellishments were. And I do this to both until it sets. And now I'm going to take a small peppermint, and I'm going to add it to this little star that's above. I'm going to take some hot glue and do just a real light bit of hot glue, and then put it on top of the little star. And now that way it's got a peppermint on top. Now to finish off the candy canes, I'm going to use some more of the puffy paint. I'm just going to go around the very base of these candy canes all the way around. That way it has the illusion that there's frosting around it. And then that is it for these. I am done. I think they came out cute. Here's how they look, and a closer look at the final reveal. For DIY number 4, I'm going to take 2 of these styrofoam cones from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to give them a good coat of this nutmeg brown paint by Apple Barrel, like this. Now I wasn't really crazy about the way this, you can still see the styrofoam, so I'm going to go back in with the foam clay. So I guess I could have skipped the painting, but like I said, that was my original plan, was to use them painted. But here we go. Anyway, here we go. Sometimes when you're crafting, you have to change your plans. It's just the way it goes. So here I conditioned it, and now I'm taking my acrylic roller to roll it out in this shape, like this. Now once I get it to where I think that my cone tree, this will be a cone tree, where this will fit, then I'll go ahead and place it on the middle, in the middle, and just wrap the foam clay over it, and then kind of just turn it, kind of stretch a little bit, and go ahead and form it. So this top was way too much. I went ahead and pinched that off like this, and then kind of just dab it with my fingers, kind of pat it down like this, and just kind of pull it and pat it. Like I said, this foam clay is very forgiving, so it's easy to work with. This bottom didn't need any of that, so I went ahead and pulled that off. Had a little piece here that you really can't see, but I can see it. So I went ahead and kind of did a little mending job on that piece. kind of just pat it with my fingertips like this. And then I do the same thing to the second cone. Here is my other piece, and just like that, they're both done. Now I'm going to take a piece of parchment paper and I'm just going to rub it. That way if there's any weird little like dents, that it'll be nice and smooth. And that actually worked really well. So now I'm going to allow these to dry. Here they are, nice and dry. Now I'm going to take this candle holder. This is from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to take some hot glue and put a nice generous amount underneath one of my trees and placing it on top of the candle holder. The other one will not have a candle holder. It'll be one tall one and one shorter one. So now I'm going to take this little Lazy Susan that I made. And I'm just going to take some puffy paint. And I'm just going to take my time and start doing a design. Kind of like little waves like this. Sorry, I'm out of frame a little bit. At this point, I'm actually sitting. I usually craft standing up, but this time I was sitting to do this. But I just do little waves like this. And they don't have to be perfect because we'll be doing a lot of embellishing on these gingerbread trees. So I'm just going to go around like this. And now I'm pretty much done with this one. Put this one down. Get the next one. And do the same thing. Just go around. Take my time. Got this one done. Now put this one aside. Allow them both to dry completely. Here they are, nice and dry. Now I'm going to take some of my spackle and I'm going to give them both a little bit of frosting. I'm going to take a nice glob of this spackle, put it on the very top, and place a big plastic ornament on the tall one. Do the same thing to the second one, but add a smaller peppermint. And now for this taller one, I will do a nice thick spackling around the whole bottom edge, just to give it a finished look, like this. Put that aside, and then I'll do the same thing with this smaller one, the shorter one. It's not smaller, it's just shorter. And I'll do the same thing. I'll just take my time and go around this whole piece like this. Now I'm pretty happy with it, so I'm going to go ahead and set these both aside, allow these to dry completely. Now here they are, all nice and dry, and all the spackle is nice and set. Now remove this parchment paper, we don't need it anymore. Now I'm going to take some of the Mod Podge Extreme Glitter and give it a nice good coat on top of the whole tree. And this will give it another bit of interest and another little bit of texture. So just go ahead and do the whole coat completely, all the way around. And I'll go ahead and do both the same way, and then allow them to dry. Now here they are, nice and dry, looking great. And look how shimmery. No mess. Now I'm going to take my embellishments that I made earlier in this video. And like I mentioned, these will be faux candy pieces. So all I'm going to do to adhere them onto these gingerbread trees is I'm just going to take the puffy paint and add a nice glob at a time. And then add one of these half wood rounds, these half beads that I painted. And let the faux frosting kind of like ooze out, or should I say faux icing, ooze out on the sides. And I'll just continue this process like this. And I just continue and do it to both of my trees. Here's the last little bit. And then I'll set them aside, allow them to dry. But look how adorable. My little candy trees. Now I'm going to utilize my little resin bows and do the same thing. Add a nice glob of some puffy paint for faux icing. And then just placing them, I'm going to place them on the base, maybe a few inches apart. And I'll just keep going around both of my little trees just for that extra little bit of embellishment. Another glob or dollop, I don't know how you want to say it. And then another little resin bow, and look, just like that, they're done. Now allow them to dry completely, and they are done. And here's how they look, and a closer look at the final reveal. For DIY number 5, I'm going to take some more of the foam clay, and I'm going to take a nice big glob of it. We're going to need quite a bit this time, because I'm going to make some more cookies, but they will be actual cookies, nice and thick, not like the ones I made in my last video. They were like cracker cookies. They were pretty thin. So I'm going to condition my foam clay really well by pulling it and stretching it, and it took me a little while to do that until it gets a little bit firm like this. Now I'm taking my acrylic rolling pin and rolling it out, kind of like you would if you're making a pie crust. Just kind of roll it. I had one little air bubble here, but that's okay. we'll work around that. Just keep rolling the foam clay. And this foam clay is very forgiving, so it's fun to use. Now I have these round cookie cutters, and I'm just going to cut one of each size. So this one here, and here are the rest. And I'll set them aside, allow them to dry and cure. And then this little piece, I still had extra foam clay. I don't want to waste it. So I'm just going to roll it out. And I'm going to use these teeny tiny cookie cutters that I have in my stash. A little gingerbread man, a little star. And I'm going to cut out some mini cookies. And I'll just let them dry and cure inside of these cutters, because they're a little bit hard to remove when they're fresh. And then I had a little house one too. So I went ahead and did that. And I'm going to utilize those little cookies and this little piece here. Now here they are, nice and dry. All the clay is dry and cured, ready to go. I'm going to place it on top of some parchment paper, and I'm going to unmold these mini cookie cutters just with the end of a paintbrush. They just pop right out. Here's a little house. Here is a little star, and then here's the little gingerbread man. Spoiler alert, I won't be using these for this video, but they'll be ready to go for a future video. So that'll be coming up. Now here is my Mod Podge in the extreme glitter. I love this stuff. It adds the glitter without the mess. So I'm just going to give it a nice good coat on each of these. And here they are, nice and coated. One of them's already beginning to dry, but that's okay. Put this away. Now here they are, all nice and dry, looking great. And I'm just going to remove them from the parchment paper and any excess Mod Podge that might be on the base of my little cookies. So just like this. Now these little pieces here we'll use for another video, so we'll put those away. And now we're ready to go to assemble our tree. So now I'm just going to take the larger piece, which is this one here. And here's my spackle. And I'm going to start piping some. Now I've never done this before, so I'm trying to figure this out as I go. So first I just start off by adding some spackle in the very center. And I figure that's going to be good enough. It'll ooze out is my thinking. So I place the next size up on top, but it doesn't really ooze out. It's kind of like hidden. So I thought, no, that's not going to work. So I take it off quickly before any of the spackle begins to set. So I just go around one more time, making a larger circle of spackling with my piping bag and press it down. And now that's looking a little bit better. So I'm gonna do it like that from now on. I'm just gonna add a nice bit around the edge and then a little bit in the center. And yeah, that works much better. So I'll do that. I'm telling you, crafting is a learning process. Always is. You get ideas, but then when you start creating, it's like, okay, that's not going to work. Let me try something else. It's just how it is. Okay, here's one more. And we're just going to add these in a graduated order. This is the very top. And add a nice big dollop on the top. And of course, I'm going to get a peppermint for the very top. And I'm just going to use a small one. And just kind of press it in there. And we're going to allow this to dry completely. Now here it is, nice and dry and set. Looking cute. So now I feel like this needs some kind of a height to it, some kind of a base. So I'm just taking one of these Dollar Tree candle holders. This one has a pretty shape. Remove this sticker. And I'm going to place it right on top. It looks like it's going to fit pretty well. So I'm just going to take my hot glue, go around the outer edge to catch the lip of the candle holder. Press it down, allow that to set for a second. And voila, looking cute. So now I'm going to go into my little resin bows, taking a larger one of the little flat ones and just pressing it on the base of the candle holder instead this time. And then that is it for this one. I feel like that was going to be good enough. And here's how it looks and a closer look at the final reveal. If you're on Instagram, here's my QR code. I invite you to scan it and come follow me on there. I post on there Monday through Fridays, as well as TikTok. Here's my QR code for there. Here is my QR code for Facebook, also Monday through Fridays, as well as my Pinterest. Here's my QR code for there. And here's my Lemonade account as well. And my Threads account. This is my handle, also Monday through Fridays. Here's my Home Talk QR code. I invite you to come scan it. Post on there twice a month. I do have a Facebook crafting group. I invite you to come join us there. And now we're at the final reveal. Let me know what you think and which one is your favorite one. And what would you do differently? I'm very interested. Well, I'll take a moment and express my gratitude for you guys taking time out of your busy day to watch my video and for staying with me to the end. I know it's a little bit lengthy for 5 DIYs, but I made multiples of each style of DIY, and I did include a lot of extra details that I usually don't. I usually do a lot of embellishing off camera, but I just felt like, yeah, let me add all this. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up. Hope you guys enjoyed my Gingerbread in July series for this July. More gingerbread DIYs will definitely be coming later on, maybe September or so. So definitely be on the lookout for those. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. And if you want to see more, definitely subscribe because a lot more is coming. And until my next video, stay healthy, safe, and strong. And have a great, great day. Bye-bye.